this is Mr. Reese and welcome to today's lesson. We are going to talk about Maclaurin series. If you're in BC Calculus, you know what I'm talking about. This is one of the most important topics, and I have some memory devices that are going to help you with the certain specific Maclaurin series that you need to have memorized for the AP exam. So we're going to look at e to the x, cosine x, sine x, and 1 over 1 minus x. These are the most common ones that show up all the time. So just to remind you, a Maclaurin series is basically a Taylor polynomial, but it's centered at 0. Taylor polynomials can be centered anywhere, but Maclaurin series are specifically centered at x equals 0. So usually they have you, or you need to memorize the first 4 non-zero terms and then the general term, or the nth term. So for e to the x, notice it has 1 and then plus x to the first, and then x squared over 2 factorial, x to the third over 3 factorial, and there's definitely that pattern there. The degree matches the factorial, and so the general term is x to the n over n factorial. So how I like to think of e to the x, and notice everything's positive. So e to the x, think of e, has everything positive, or everything is positive, and it has every power and every factorial. It's not skipping. It's basically, this would be like x to the 0, x to the first, x squared, x to the third. So I did everything, and everything's positive. Now, when we look at cosine x and sine x, look at their Maclaurin series. Cosine x starts with 1, which technically is like x to the 0, and then x squared, x to the fourth, x to the sixth, obviously the even numbers. 2, 4, 6, 8, who do we appreciate? Math, yay math. So cosine is even, sine is odd. Starts with x to the first. It doesn't have 1. Some students mix this up and they think everything starts with 1. Not necessarily. So sine x starts x to the first, then x to the third, x to the fifth, x to the seventh. So my little memory device, and this is where you have to know your trig functions, which ones are even, which ones are odd. Actually, let's do a little side lesson really quick. In trigonometry, there's 6 trig functions, and the only 2 that are even are secant and cosine. Everything else is an odd function. Sine, cosecant, tangent, cotangent. Here's what I tell my students. Secant is the only trig function spelled with an E. When you look at the 3-letter abbreviations, secant's the only one with an E, and that's, think of even. So cosine is an even function, so basically cosine has all the even powers. And look at, it is alternating. Positive, negative, and that's what this is representing here. Anytime you have -1 to the n or to the n plus 1 or minus 1, that's representing an alternating series. So both cosine and sine are alternating, but sine has the odd powers, and sine is an odd function. So you kind of have to have that background too. You know, cosine's even, sine is odd. And the last one that shows up fairly often is 1 over 1 minus x. So here's what I tell my students. This one looks a lot scarier than these 3. But Maclaurin series is the easiest one. Look at that. 1 plus x squared plus x to the third plus dot dot dot. There's the general term x to the n. It's the easiest one out of all these, but it's the most complicated one looking here. So I say 1 over 1 minus x is in a fraction, but its Maclaurin series is not in a fraction, so it's opposite. So the one that has the fraction that looks complicated actually has the easiest one here, and they're not in fractions. So there's your lesson for today. Good luck with the BC exam. Good luck with your study of Maclaurin series.